For it.
Good morning, everyone. It's the one, the only Senor Silverback himself, joined with the master of the flux capacitor, CJ, and it's back for another Rogue Money Mornings. With that being said, you can find us on roguemoney.net, the premier, fastest growing news site in the world. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. And check us out on the Rogue Money Facebook page. And also check out our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us. My God, you need to go there and fill it out. I mean, so many people who signed up last week are getting funded this week. One of them is getting $625,000. I can't even believe these numbers, CJ. It's asinine. Absolutely asinine, these numbers these people are getting. Check them out, myfreedomnow.us. Get your credit fixed. Get on the road to free financial freedom. Kick the bankers in the nuts. Take the money. Take the money. Invest it. Do whatever you want with it. Change your life. It's the closest thing to a lottery. With that being said, guys, CJ, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, B. Good morning. How are you?
Weekend wasn't long enough, man.
They never are. They never are.
You know, weekend was not long enough. Raining yesterday, raining today. It's going to probably rain tomorrow. Raining all day in New York. So it's just one of those things, dude. You know, it's like part of you just wants to crawl into bed and go to sleep. The other part of you knows that you got a lot of work to do, calls to make, people to see, and somewhere along the day I got to squeeze in a workout to work out my massive gorilla arms.
That's it. That's it. And report the news.
And report the news, because we got London Paul coming on later, so it's going to be a lot of stuff going down, my friend.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, he sent some tweets out on Saturday and alluded to a little bit of what he'll be covering today. So we're excited to have him on. And then also James has two new articles going up on roguemoney.net.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure to check those out. One with Duterte in Russia.
Yep,
and then also Megyn Kelly, her interview with Vladimir Putin. So,
well, we all know Megyn Kelly's an expert on cybersecurity and hacking. You know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's all in. She's there. I mean, her credentials are just unbelievable.
Incredible. She has well-worn knee pads. Absolutely, well-worn knee pads. Megyn Kelly. That's what she has. That's why she is where she is today in the infotainment business, because that's exactly what it is. It's infotainment. It's not news. Anyway, Siege, what is the first order of the day, sir?
Well, I know London Paul's going to go into detail and share some background information. However, there was a major shakeup in the sandbox V, some things going down. So you want to share a little bit about that information?
You know what, man? I mean, this is crazy, and I want you guys to listen very closely to this. I'm still trying to figure out, again, the news is fresh, it's still fast, it's still fluid. I have my hunches, but I'm just trying to figure out exactly what the angle is. I'm going to probably have to connect with Paul. If I get a hold of the Prince, he will be able to break this down for us better than anyone. Just days after President Trump left the region, geopolitical earthquake is taking place in the Middle East. Tonight, as the rift between Qatar and other members of the likely extinct GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, explodes, with Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt cutting all diplomatic ties with Qatar, accusing it of, quote-unquote, speeding chaos by funding terrorism and supporting Iran. The dispute between Qatar and the Gulf Arab countries started over a purported hack of Qatar's state-run news agency. It has spiraled since and has appeared to be climaxing now, just days after President Trump left the region. The statement on Monday morning said that Bahrain decided to sever ties with its neighbor on the insistence of the state of Qatar to continue destabilizing the security and stability of the Kingdom of Bahrain and to intervene in its affairs. The statement also said Qatar's incitement of the media and support of terrorist activities and financing groups linked to Iran. Qatar has spread chaos in Bahrain in flagrant violation of all agreements and covenants and principles of international law without regard to value, law, or morals, or consideration of the principles of good neighborliness or commitment to the constants of Gulf relations and the denial of all previous commitments, the statement read. Qatari citizens have 14 days to leave Bahraini territories, while Qatari diplomats were given 48 hours to leave the country after being expelled. Meanwhile, Bahrain has also banned all of its citizens from visiting or residing in Qatar after the severance of ties. Additionally, Bahrain has closed both air and sea borders with Qatar. Saudi Arabia then confirmed the same. This is crazy stuff, CJ. cutting ties and shutting down all sea, air, and land crossings with Qatar, as well as dissolving Qatar's role in the Saudi-led coalition against Yemen. Emirates, Etihad, Saudi, Gulf Air, Egypt Air are no longer allowed to fly to Qatar, and Saudi Arabia is providing facilities, services to Qatari pilgrims. Egypt then followed, confirming it was cutting diplomatic ties. Then the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, famous for Abu Dhabi and Dubai, have cut ties, shut down all sky, water, and land crossings, and expel all Qataris in 48 hours. What in God's name? The Maldives, of all people, the tiny little islands off the coast of southern India, these islands that are sinking in the water, has also cut diplomatic ties with Qatar. What the hell is going on here? All of this happened. Are you ready for this, guys? All of this happened within 24 hours of Iran calling out the West for ignoring the real sponsors of terrorism around the world, and UK's Labour Party outright name-shaming Saudi Arabia's funding of terrorism. Qatari officials did not immediately respond to a request for comment. As a reminder, documents obtained by Middle East Eye show strategic alliances, including the pledge by Ankara to protect Gulf states from external threats. In December 2015, Turkey announced, to the surprise of many, that it planned to establish a military base in Qatar. Behind the scenes, the agreement was about forming a major strategic alliance, and after a 100-year hiatus, Turkey is militarily back in the Gulf, ramping up its presence overseas. In January, Ankara announced that it would also establish a military base in Somalia. Specific details about the Qatar agreement, which Turkey described as an alliance in the face of common enemies, remain scant. Middle East Eye has acquired copies of the agreement as well as further details, which include a secret pledge by Ankara to protect Qatar from external threats. Did Qatar just get scapegoated on the war on terror? One thing seems clear: support for Syrian gas pipelines will be dwindling, and with the need for a Syrian war. Notably, this raises further doubts about OPEC stability. As Bloomberg notes, while Middle East reactions have historically added risk, discord here could theoretically put downward pressure on OPEC members to struggle to maintain unity and compliance on production costs. CJ, this is a lot of drama for the mama. Where do I mean, this is like within 24 hours, bro. Okay, this is within 24 hours. Here's what I think is going on. Okay. Now, you and I, Siege, we've discussed this before. We've wrote about this on Rogue Money. People who've been following the Rogue Money crew for a while will kind of know this, especially the articles I wrote about the Kingdom of Sand, which is Saudi Arabia. Look, the biggest sponsors of terrorism in the Middle East is Saudi Arabia. It's not Iran. It's not Qatar. It's not any of these guys. One thing I will tell you, though, and here's what's funny. There could be a duality at play here. I don't know what the scenario is. But here's scenario number one, and here's a possibility. Qatar is the home operating forward base of the Muslim Brotherhood. Qatar is also home Middle East forward operating base for the British deep state. Okay? The British deep state, which set up the Muslim Brotherhood back in the 40s, operates out of Qatar. It is a haunt for British intel as well as American deep state. Okay? This whole rhetoric about Qatar, they're mad at Qatar because they're supporting Iran. I think I would cut or drop the supporting Iran line off, because I think that's just a political pretext to give them justification. But when you look at the entire Middle East, you look at, all of a sudden Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Oman, all these guys are just, Egypt, all of them all of a sudden are ganging up on Qatar. One thing stands out clear. The one thing I do know is, Qatar is heavily in the deep state's pocket. Now, Qatar also has a lot of liquid natural gas. The biggest supply of liquid natural gas in the entire Middle East belongs to Qatar. Qatar was actually, believe it or not, guys, a lot of people don't know this, but I wrote this back in my article, Why Syria, back in 2013. I stated it was, in fact, Qatar that egged, okay, the Qatari sheiks who egged on Saudi Arabia to get involved in the escapades that were in Syria. Because Qatar is sitting on the largest compressed liquid natural gas reserves in the Middle East, at least, and probably one of the biggest ones in the world. They wanted their stuff to get to Europe. Traditionally, and I wrote this back in 2013, that the Qataris were using a sea route to get their LNG to Europe, which is really the longest way. The other route they were using is actually having the LNG to extracted, shipped to America, further refined, and then flown back to Europe, which is also costly. The fastest way to do it is through Syria. Now, if Qatar is going down, can we see a gang up on the deep state? Is this a move on the deep state? Or is Qatar being scapegoated for something else? I'm leaning towards this could possibly be a move against some Anglo-American factions of the deep state that are alive and active in Qatar. Now, why is Saudi Arabia in this? Again, Saudi Arabia is desperate. They're trying to survive. They will do anything and say anything at this point to keep their head above water. If you look at Turkey's involvement in there, the turd in the hummus bowl, which is Erdogan. Erdogan is not going to look. The Turkish army is a military joke. They suck. They're about as good as the Saudis. They're garbage. Okay. For the Turks to all of a sudden be in Saudi Arabia, being like in the Middle East with Middle Eastern bases, they can't be there without notification to Russia and China, hey, we're going to these bases, because it's just not going to stand. I mean, the Russians could easily take out the Turks with no issues and no problems. So for them to be there on the side of this new gang that is going against Qatar, it is possible that this could be a pincer maneuver to squeeze out the last remnants of the deep state that's in the Middle East. Have the Saudis flipped. Look, Saudi Arabia knows they're running out of oil. They know that maybe if they squeeze out the Qataris, they can possibly instill their own puppet government there instead of in Yemen, and still have a deep water port and access to the LNG, which they always wanted. They could have flipped. Something's going on here. This is a much more deeper strategic play. I will probably get more information on this within the next 24 hours and probably report back on it again tomorrow, Siege, because let's see what develops here, man, because this is still fast and fresh.
Right. Absolutely.
I think London Poll probably have some intel on this as well.
Yeah. And again, some background information. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to hear, but I agree with your 100%. That was a great assessment, V.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, man. The U.S. is a third world country for us. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, let's stay international a little bit and jump into Theresa May and her, problem reaction solution that is just completely asinine. V, talking about, cracking down the internet and cracking down on the cryptocurrencies, versus, the root of the problem that's happening right now throughout Europe, and just, amazing. So here you have her coming out now and stating that, the internet is the problem. It's the internet and the cryptocurrencies, all these disruptive things that are occurring are triggering or causing all this terrorism to occur. V, it's just completely insane what she's saying right now. It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely, man, because we know that the internet and cryptocurrencies are the number one tool of terrorists. In fact, that's how terrorists got into England. They used the internet and they used cryptocurrencies to pay their way all the way to England. And we also know that in the UK, they used Bitcoin to pay for the knives and the canisters they had strapped to their bodies that they didn't get a chance to detonate. We know that they got there through the internet and Bitcoin. So in order to save Europe and the UK from Islamic terrorism, they have to ban the internet and they have to ban cryptocurrencies. This is a bunch of bullcrap. This is a type of danger level that you people need to be very wary of. Islamic terrorism did not get to the UK because of the internet or because of cryptos. Cryptos and internet has nothing to do with Islamic terrorism. The root cause of Islamic terrorism is when you numbnuts, when you nutless wonders, when you lacking of spine individuals in the UK have decided to open up your borders and allow a race, allow a group of people, a culture of people that is completely anathema to Western values to come into your country, into your borders, people who do not assimilate, people who do not um, respect the culture or the laws of your land, and that's how you get the problem. That's how the problem is. The problem is not this. Why don't you guys instead of talking about, see, this is what I don't get. Instead of talking about internet lockdowns and banning cryptos, why don't they just stop Islamic migration and the rape refugees from coming in? Why don't they start with that?
Yeah, stop caving to Sharia law and stop caving to transform your society, and versus the opposite of asking people to become part of it and to buy into some of the philosophies, some of the standing principles that have existed for years, V. And they don't do that at all. They don't ask these people to assimilate.
Correct. This is what happens when you bring in a bunch of low IQ, inbred hooligans from the third world into your country, and you give them rights and you allow them to set up Sharia courts. 40 Sharia courts in the UK and London alone. 40, CJ, count them. 40 Sharia courts in London. I mean, how stupid are these idiots? How dumb are you people? It has nothing to do with, oh, yeah, we need to, we want to ban cryptos. Oh, yeah, we want to, ban the internet. How come, look, man, how come there's no terrorist attacks in Poland, bro? They got internet there. They got cryptocurrencies there. How come there's no attacks in Poland?
No, absolutely. And it's a coordinated effort, V. There's also an article, I didn't include this in the deck, but another article that came out from The Guardian directly tying to exactly what Theresa May stated. This article is titled, Forget Far-Right Populism, Crypto Anarchists Are the New Masters. And this entire article maps out from The Guardian pretty much exactly what Theresa May is stating, that, the internet now is this disruptive tool. It's leading to terrorism. It's leading to all these events, along with, cryptocurrencies, along with all these things that are occurring. So what we're seeing here is now is, the attack that occurred in London. We're now seeing a whole new coming forth of saying, hey, we need to go after these things. They use these things for their agenda, V.
And it's not going to work. That's the funniest thing.
No, not at all.
It's not going to work at all. And it's going to be ridiculously expensive for them to shut down the internet and monitor the internet and trying to go after cryptos. It's not going to work, you dumbasses. And the point that I'm making with the whole Poland thing, Poland doesn't have any terrorist attacks. You know why? They're the only country in the EU that did not allow Muzzies to migrate there. That's it. They're the only country in the EU that did not allow any rape refugees to come over. Thus, no terrorist attack. Plenty of internet, plenty of cryptos, no terrorism.
Exactly. The anarchists I know, V, they're not, this article has people pictured like in masks, like they're terrorists and things like that. Yeah, the anarchists I know don't wear masks. They're out there, doing things. They're out there promoting a whole different philosophy, that's completely different what they're wanting to do here. So it's just truly amazing to watch this unfold, V.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that being said, CJ, we have a strategic. What's the real fake?
Yeah, well, I'm interested. The article that you sent in regards to this MIT Economist, and talking about how the U.S. has already regressed into a third world nation for a majority of its citizens. And you take a look at the true unemployment, as far as the people that are not in the workforce right now. And this is something that we've been documenting for years, as far as the separation, that the 1%, through all this quantitative easing, everything that occurs, it all filters through to the 1%. And it doesn't have anything to do with any of the taxpayers, any of the true middle class that truly drive the U.S. economy, V.
Absolutely, man. We are, the middle class is absolutely gone. They're vanishing at an alarming rate. And like I said, everybody's got a hustle in this country. The wealthy have a hustle and the poor have the hustle. It is the stupid sucker middle class. The worst thing you could be in America, I'll be honest with you, the worst thing you could be in America is middle class. Because you're a sucker. You're the moron who plays by the rules. You pay your fair share of taxes, and you think there's something waiting for you. You're being fleeced by the poor from the bottom, and you're being compressed by the rich on the top. You guys are the greatest demographic of idiots. Pat yourselves on the back. be middle class. It's ridiculous. It's you have to get real smart, folks, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't mean to, say some harsh things here, but you have to get smart. If you're in the quote unquote middle class bracket, which like let's say in a state like New York, you're making $500,000 a year as a couple. You're still middle class. You're upper middle class, but you're still middle class. Okay, you're getting screwed. You need to get smart on what and how you can protect your assets, move money, on how you can do the things you can do so you pay the least amount of penalties, you pay the least amount of taxes, and you play by their law. What I say is this: break the rules, don't break the law. But you got to get smart, folks. You got to get smart. Anyway, Siege. Which brings us to what, Siege? The real fake news. Is it when the idiot, certainly not news network, CNN, they staged some photo shoots, I heard.
yeah. So they didn't know there was someone back there, behind them recording. So what they did, they brought in these Muslims, and they actually strategically placed them for one news station with signs that were basically, against ISIS. Oh, we want to destroy ISIS. And then like less than 2 minutes later, they use these same people and brought in other signs to them and asked them to hold these signs, basically, hashtag for London, hashtag that's going to cure the problems there in London. And they're exact same group of people, and they didn't even realize this was sitting there being recorded. And they even actually tweeted out like different pictures of these same groups, just completely staged fake news that the AP and these other MSM wanted, try to paint this narrative of what truly is not happening.
It's ridiculous. And they're like, London Borough's neighborhood offers safety and a place to sleep for hundreds among the terrorists. Look, it brings out the best in London. Attack brings out and you see these signs. It looks like a whole crowd of Muslims holding signs saying, turn to love, hashtag for London, we love London, we will beat ISIS, will lose, all these signs and this, that, and the other. And there's only like 15 people that they bunched together to make it look like a massive amount of people. They put them behind a police line. This is a violation against the ethics of journalism. This is a clear violation. There are journalists that have been fired in the past for doing this, okay? But CNN is not going to, because they're not about journalism, man. CNN is infotainment. They got nothing to do with the truth. They got nothing to do with journalism. Staging photo ops is manipulating the news. And if you're manipulating the news, that's a violation on the rule book of the ethics of journalism. You could be fired for this. You could lose your job for this. Your network could be fined for this. But yet, none of that's going to happen because CNN, and CNN stands for certainly not news, CJ.
Definitely.
And with that being said, buddy, we're at the end of the broadcast. Tell them what's going on for the later in the day today.
Yeah, 10 a.m. London Paul will be with us for a full hour show. So we're very excited. So make sure you dial back in at 10 a.m.
That's it. With that being said, folks, again, you can follow us on Twitter at The Rogue Money. Check us out on Facebook and check us out on roguemoney.net. Check out our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us. These guys are booked all the way out till the beginning of July. So go out there, schedule a call, get it done. myfreedomnow.us. Get free, get your credit fixed, or if you just need funding for a business loan or a personal project or investments, those are the guys to talk to. myfreedomnow.us. Get your funds, baby. With that being said, we're over and out.